No, Topper Harley Landing.
Nobody's gonna know what that is at all.
I'm going to introduce it. I'm going to introduce it.
No one's gonna click on the video when it's in
I'm
their.
going to maybe stitch it in with our video. I don't care. We're going to do it. Topper Harley Landing is memorable, and you're never going to forget it. As soon as you see the clip, and as soon as you like, it's going to be like amazing. Yes, we're going to do that.
Oh my God! Is this the landing on the Hudson River?
Okay, Topper.
No.
Ease her in.
Landing gear's frozen.
Looking good.
Lost my radar.
Okay, a little more power now.
I'm out of fuel.
Right for lineup.
Lost a wing.
Doing fine.
There goes the other one.
Okay, Topper. Call the ball.
Touching down.
Hey guys, welcome to the Nikta and Jason show. I'm Nikta, that's Jason, and today we're going to continue our chat on deadlines because apparently Jason has a lot to say on this topic, and so now we have to listen to him.
Thanks for that great introduction, Nikta. I can't wait to talk about it. So, deadlines. Yes, we want to talk more about deadlines because last episode we talked about how they are actually done well. They clarify what you have to do when, they prioritize features. It's just a natural thing, and it kind of forces you, maybe a slightly artificial constraint, but it forces you to produce. And then you end up being better for it, the product's better for it, all those things.
And so we kind of both agreed, Jason, right, that deadlines are a good thing as long as the people who are expected to deliver the work by a certain deadline had some, say in when that deadline was. It wasn't just like set by the lords above.
Right. And so, yeah, generally you want to be able to set your own deadlines. And when you do, you're making your commitment and you try and meet those deadlines, even though
Right.
it should feel like a bit of a stretch. Just like a bit, like I'm a little worried about making that. That's what you want to feel like. And now what I want to talk about is when the date is completely out of your control and it was decided and literally, not literally, never mind. That's a wrong, I'm going to use literally wrong.
Like in the millennial way.
Figuratively, they pooped it out and handed it, here's the date I want you to do this X by. Okay, that's not you're not literally, that's gross.
Who's they? Is that product manager?
Exactly, whatever.
Management
4
team?
levels up the hierarchy that you've never met, you've never even seen this person. You just
Okay.
know them as a name.
Okay.
Oh, Bloggins says, Chief Bloggins, not lowly
Fucking
Bloggins,
Yeah.
said, we need this done by this time.
This is Bloggins' dad. He's the top boss.
Yeah. It's the only way the younger Bloggins got
Nepotism, man.
So, let's, to make things a little more concrete, because this happened recently to me, although I won't give too many details away. So, at the end of September, we got a deadline for the end of November. We were told it was US Thanksgiving, but we have what? 2 US listeners? The end of November, right? 2 months. And they were going to completely swap out the back end. And as a consequence for us on the front end, on the app teams, it basically meant a significant rewrite of a lot of stuff. And it was basically impossible. It was an impossible deadline. There's no way we could have made it. And so, everyone kind of dawns on everybody that, oh, we're not going to make it. And then all the heads kind of just turn over to the engineers because, deadlines clarify, impossible deadlines over clarify. And so, it's basically up to the engineers to do all this work. And then all the eyes are on you and you're like, oh shit, I don't want to say that it's impossible. Because the thing about impossible deadlines is, you're not going to make it. And if the more experience you have, the more you realize, you're not going to make it, but you can't say that. You have to say yes, basically. Because if you don't say yes and you always resist.
Like a party pooper or like what?
Yeah. So if you always resist and you say, we shouldn't have done it this way. We should have committed to this date. This is an impossible date. If you say that and you're not kind of giving 110%, you're the asshole. You're not the team player, even though you're stuck with these circumstances. So you kind of just have to say, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And you kind of get to work. And also, the thing about engineers is like they try to want to do it, and like, and I don't know. As soon as I'm given an impossible deadline, I start thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? I'm like, what if I took this shortcut and this shortcut? Maybe we could do something. And so you do that, and you start working the crazy hours, and you are cranky the whole time because you're like, why am I doing this stuff? And you end up start wondering why am I even working here? This is completely not worth it. Busting my ass for just because some guy way up high said to do that. There's like the stakes aren't nearly as high to require this amount of effort.
Did Buddy, who come up with this deadline from like 4 levels above, explain why that was the date that was picked? Is it because there was like some external event that you guys had to prepare for? Is it like, was there any why behind it?
A little bit. I found out after the fact. I found out way after that date had passed. It was some kind of political bullshit wankery that executives. It was about executives. Like, who cares, right? It was like there was no business reason. The person who said we're doing this, I never spoke to them ever.
Was it Buddy? But Buddy was just like flexing to be like, look, I can like mobilize my army to deliver. Kind of, because there's, I don't know, we're going to start getting into specifics here. There was a lot of inertia, cultural inertia on the engineering team. And he's like, no, we can do this. We're not going to take 3 years. We're going to do it in 3 months. And well, he's not going to do it in 3 months. I'm going to do it in 3 months. So that was kind of the situation. But it could be all kinds of anything. A really demanding client. Maybe it is a legit business reason. Maybe it's just custom, right? Like Apple has to ship every year in September. It's just this clockwork thing. You have to do 2 years worth of work in 1 year to ship it in September every time. So the circumstances vary, but what you feel is like you want to start questioning what you're even doing, because it's not fun. Everyone's all cranked up and unhappy, and like, nothing. It just feels like nothing's going right because there's just so much to do. And I don't know, about halfway through, or like there's a certain point in the project when everyone has to face the fact that it's not going to work. And so you reduce scope, or, something happens. Hey, you know what? We can't do that. Let's not do it in English. Let's only do it in English. What if we only did it with this one screen instead of all the screens? And what if, we took away half the screen? And then everyone's like, yeah, because you want to save face to this executive and say you've done something, but it's not nearly what the guy asked for, or what you kind of, in my case, or what the team wanted to do to add value to this product, right? And so you end up shipping this thing that's not nearly close to what you want. The quality's probably not there because you're making shortcuts all over the place, and you're only doing it to make this date. And you do enough of them, and all you can do is basically just kind of laugh at the absurdity of doing all this. And it always reminds me of this scene in Hot Shots, old movie now. It's like over 20, 30 years old. I don't know. Hot Shots with Charlie Sheen, and it's a send-up of Top Gun and action movies and stuff. And he's landing in an airplane on an aircraft carrier, and he like loses the wings, loses the everything, and then the guy's calling him in. It's like, you're doing great, keep at it. And then the plane just goes plunk, just falls down. And that's kind of what these releases feel like. Like everyone's cheering you on, but you're not making anything very good. And then it just kind of plunks, and everyone's cheering, but it's not that great an accomplishment. And then right? But you're alive.
You're alive, I guess so. Yeah, you can look at it that way. Oh, I broke my legs and arms. And then life goes on, right? So you ship, and then the very next day, what do? You fix all that shit you just did. So in this case, I was still working on. I'd still be working on it now. Even like that's how long. So 2 months at the end of last year, and now what is it, like 7 months
This
later?
is fascinating. This is just like such a like tangle of culture and process and like because
Yeah.
because the way that you're describing it, it's like, you know, this is nonsense. Why would we ever do things this way? This is ludicrous and stuff. But I would wager a bet that Buddy, who is 4 levels up and said, we're not going to take 3 years to do this, we're going to do it in 3 months, is probably pretty smart. Like, this is a lesson that I have learned over and over and over again.
Right.
As I have, for lack of a better word, like matured in my career, there was, you know, when I was junior, I'd be like, why the heck are these stupid, dumb executives making these decisions? I should be running this company. I'm awesome. I know better than all these people. And it's like, oh my God, you like gain a bit more experience, you get a bit more experience, you get a bit more experience. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's why my mom made me eat my veggies. I get it now, you know? And I'm guessing that, yes, for sure, there was like some politics and some like whatever jiggery pokery that was happening at that level that probably caused that date to be there. But also, like, better have the plane land with no wings and no engines, but like, here it is, than the plane still being 3 years away, right? Some might argue.
Yes, because they could with kind of like a straight face say, we did it, and so, you know, which is kind of like the point I wanted to make about over these 2 shows was that dates and deadlines, they're powerful things, and you should treat them carefully, and don't constantly go for the Topper Harley Landing. Topper Harley's the guy in Hot Shots. I should have said that earlier. Oh well. You maybe want 1 Topper Harley Landing a year. Otherwise, you're going to burn your team out, and then everyone just leaves, and it's gonna you'll get a rep like the game. So I'll give you an example. The game companies are like this. They're constantly, well, they used to be. They're constantly Topper Harley Landing every single game, and it's a crappy way to you're constantly burned out, and it sucks. Startups are kind of the same way. They have to be like that because, you know, they have these, they're not necessarily arbitrary. Maybe it's trade shows, maybe it's a big pitch to a big company.
Or maybe it's just the money's running out of the bank account and you just have like to keep with the airplane analogy, you have very little runway left.
Yeah, right. But so, sure, you have very little money left, but you're building something to do what? To go to where? To market it more? Like, there's something a little more specific about why you need it at a certain date. And anyway, that they're powerful dates and deadlines are powerful things, and you should be smart about them, smart about using them, I think, is the big thing. And if you're going to have a Topper Harley Landing, just do one once a year, or you're just going to have
Okay, but
it all goes to shit if you keep it up.
That I'm not sure I totally agree with this whole once a year thing. I agree with like, don't burn out your team. I agree with don't work overtime all the time to the point where you want to leave the company. Like, duh, yes, for sure. But in general, I am of the belief that agile development is like delivering quickly and always being a little bit uncomfortable with the level of quality of what you're delivering, because the whole point of agile development is stop locking yourself up in a garage for 3 years and building something that's perfect only to find out that nobody in the market actually wants it.
Sure.
And
that's not what we're talking about, because you're not there.
Because
you're doing for 3 years.
Forcing function of reducing scope. And so when you say like, okay, let's only do it in English and let's only do it on these pages and let's only do that, the next, the point is, if what you end up releasing, even in that smaller scope, is still going to prove or disprove your hypothesis, which is that by redoing the back end, we're going to improve performance by X amount, and that's going to lead to users coming back to our site more often because they're not waiting for the page to load. Or the hypothesis is that users want to be able to use this feature to accomplish whatever. Oh, fuck. So, like, do you know what I mean? If you reduce scope, but it's still proving or disproving your hypothesis, then absolutely you should release it, and absolutely you should collect data on it and learn from it. That is agile development, and that is why deadlines are important.
That's not, you're not even, did you even listen to what I was describing? That is not what agile development was. It was like 60, 80 hours a week for 8 weeks, just going bonkers. Like, I can't even think straight. I don't even remember writing. I went back to the code and I don't even remember writing it. That is not, you twisted it back to being agile. Yes, agile.
Oh my God, Jason, did you listen to what I was saying?
And you can do those types of things, but that's not what this was. This was a project.
Jason, fine, I get it. This one project was mismanaged and shitty. I understand.
And those kind of projects happen all the time.
Like, did I not literally, hold on. Did I not literally preface with like, oh my God, you should absolutely not burn out your team. You shouldn't be working 80 hours a week. Like,
yeah, okay, I guess. But then you kind of twisted it and said, see, dates are important. Dates are good. You should.
Which you agree with.
So let me.
I have to take a phone call. I can't talk to you anymore.
Let me repeat back to you what.
This is a long episode.
What?
This is a long episode.
It is. I know. It's because you keep on talking more. It's all because of you. People want to see you, so keep talking. Anyways, agile is a better way to do that. You don't wait until you need, 3 months balls to the wall. You kind of like you have to constantly think about that stuff and turn them into smaller projects that can be done with sprints that have a little bit of pressure. And then I don't know if I could quite make that. And you do it. And if you don't quite make it, you do roll it into the next sprint. You should feel bad every time that happens, but that's a way better way to work. And so there is a constant little pressure to deliver. There's not this max thing for 3 months and then you question your whole like reason for being there. So we're good on deadlines. Use deadlines, but little ones. Click subscribe.
The achievable ones that the team set, not the ones that came from the Lord's 4 levels above.